So my sessions can be like a 30-minute workout or a 20-minute workout, and then like a 30-minute Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu lesson or boxing lesson or a self-defense. So in a hour's time, you could have both. Right?
That's so great.
And then so the thing is, also is just being able to bring people in and then show them this is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this is what this is boxing, and then it's in a small group setting. So you're not in a big class. You're not going to have an instructor with 15 other people and he's just kind of looking over you or whatever. So it's going to be me here. I mean, all the classes are going to be 6 or less. Okay, so it's going to be very individualized training, and that's my goal, because that's the way I feel like you can exact change in people. I feel like that's the way Mark and Lisa Twite did me. You know what I mean? They didn't. There's only 30, 40 people that work out at Jim Jones. Okay, there could be hundreds and hundreds. But they kept it a small pool because they knew that that's the way that you're going to exact change in people.
Somebody who sees you,
every
that
day,
looks at your programs, that sees what you're eating, sees how you're sleeping, that asks you questions about your emotional state. They can see. And there's nothing more rewarding. In LA, came and did some movement with us on Monday, and he came up after and he said, your coordination, it's vastly improved.
Yeah.
And I needed to hear that because I really struggled moving from one sport to another.
Right.
I felt clumsy.
Right.
My coordination wasn't where I left it.
Right.
And so that intimate one-to-one, they will get here, won't they?
For sure.
They'll have
For
somebody
sure.
watching them. You'll be able to whisper in their ear, doing great. Or the opposite is useful too. I'm sure you've had this where, I'm still working on perfecting my clean, and I'm still not getting my elbows up fast. It's nice to have feedback to say you're succeeding, but, or you're succeeding, and
right.
that one more thing that you can add, and you've had that happen.
Well, yeah, that's the way that I was brought up. Being a student is pretty hard. You have to be open to that. You have to be open to somebody nitpicking you. And I even asked my instructors to be extra hard on me, because that's how you get better. And so that's the way that I'm going to do. The people that come in here, I'm going to make sure your form is perfect. I'm going to make sure everything's safe first. Your form is great, even on the mats. I want your form and your moves to be perfect. Okay, because I want you to walk out of here and people say, "Oh, where did you train?"
Right.
Right. You look great. This is good. So it's because I feel like that's that's the legacy that's been instilled in me, right?
Yeah, it has.
And you as well.
Yes, I am in that ilk.
Yeah.
And that's also a hallmark in my work, is if you can push somebody to be better, that's when the growth occurs. So
yeah, and it's not very comfortable either. So
yes,
I always like to say, if you're serious about getting better, you should seek discomfort. I mean, you think about if we could be, if I could wake up tomorrow and discomfort meant nothing to me, think what you could get done. I mean, you could just.
You push through so many
you
things.
push through. I'm going to save money. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to do. I mean, you could get so much done. So it's just that idea of getting used to being uncomfortable. It's kind of a scary thought for somebody who's just starting, but it's so true, though.
It is so true.
It's like a fact of life. Just get used to being uncomfortable.
And in that uncomfort, I can remember making some life-changing decisions in the discomfort of a Turkish get-up or something, where it's like, I'm working so hard right now. Why am I allowing this other part of my life to lag?
Right.
And I decided I'm going
That's
to change that.
yeah.
So a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about some of the qualifiers for somebody who knows this might be a good place for them to start.
Okay.
And then we'll go to some of the life lessons that can be learned in this sort of setting that help you no matter where you work or whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard a couple of things. One is somebody who's willing to push themselves should show up here.
Right.
Somebody who's willing to get down on the ground, because some of us aren't used to being on the floor. It's a little scary. You might lay down on the bed, but as you have said, there's a whole new thing of not being on your feet. You might be on your back. You might be
Side, you might be upside down.
Somebody may have their arms around your throat. So somebody who's willing to go through some discomfort,
right,
and try something new. Somebody who probably wants a little bit of this jiu-jitsu knowledge and self-defense or
right,
self-awareness.
Right.
What else would you say would be a qualifier for somebody to know this would be a good place for me to try?
Yeah, I think somebody that's just interested in doing something different. Because these sessions, you know, they're going to be different every single time, right? So some of it could be, you know, Lyn, if you come in and you say, oh, I did heavy cleans yesterday, I really would just rather do some movement on the ground. Well, we could do just an easy warm-up, and then, you know, some movement, maybe some Jiu Jitsu stuff, and then, you know, do some other like workout things. So you know, I think people, I mean, I think the number one thing is just being willing to show up. I mean, I guess that's not a very good answer, but I think the number one thing is just be willing to hit those doors.
Okay, so that is, I don't think that's
Just
a bad
hit the
answer.
doors.
You've got to be